Contrary to popular belief, low bandwidth codecs may yield poor voice quality. The wide availability of IP-based Virtual Private Network (IPVPN) services has finally delivered on the promise of converged voice and data applications over a single network infrastructure. These services provide the quality of service levels needed by real-time applications such as voice and video. As a result, commercial and government enterprises are turning to Voice over IP, VoIP, as the preferred solution to their voice upgrade needs. While the business cases and the operational issues of the transition to VoIP are well documented, the voice quality as perceived by the users is often taken for granted. However, the number of factors that can impair voice quality is far greater than in traditional voice systems. This article presents an overview of voice quality issues and a methodology for measuring end-to-end voice quality. Results are presented for representative VoIP configurations. Measures of voice quality. The quality of a voice communications network has traditionally been characterized by three main parameters: voice clarity, end-to-end delay and echo. Clarity measures the overall distortion in a voice signal caused by the introduction of noise throughout the communications subsystems, loss of packets and signal distortions associated with various encoding, decoding and compression schemes. Delay measures the effects of end-to-end packet delays, which can impair normal conversational interactivity and introduce other impairments such as echo return. Absolute one-way delays above 150 milliseconds, ms, can impair normal voice interactivity, and delays exceeding 25 ms enable the human ear to perceive echo returns if present in the network. Traditional circuit switching systems exhibit very low latency in one-way transmission times, 2 ms to 30 ms, max. The minimum one-way delay in VoIP systems often exceeds 50 ms, and can easily approach 120 ms to 150 ms due to encoding, decoding algorithms, payload packetization, packet transmission and jitter buffers. Echo measures the absolute echo return level of the speaker's voice present in the communications network. It is usually introduced by a mismatch in impedance when converting from a 4-wire network switch to a 2-wire local loop. In traditional circuit switched systems, echo is not normally perceived due to the low latency nature of the transmission path, less than 25 ms. VoIP systems, which exhibit significantly greater one-way delays, enable the human ear to perceive echo returns if present in the network. Typical VoIP systems employ echo canceller technology to circumvent this characteristic. However, echo cancellers are not as effective against echo returns with very high signal levels or absolute delay. CBCR, August 2005, pages 50 to 51. The most traditional technique for measuring voice quality is the mean opinion score, MOS, based on the ITA recommendation P.800. MOS is a subjective technique based on a large sample of listeners' subjective scoring of a set of voice samples on a scale of 1 to 5. Figure 1 presents this scoring range and its associated perceived quality. A score of 4 or higher corresponds to toll quality, typically associated with the service quality of circuit-switched networks. The subjective nature of MOS makes this technique infeasible for routine quality testing of voice communications networks. The ITA has recommended an objective measurement technique, P.862 Perceptual Evaluation of Speech Quality, PESQ, that measures the one-way voice quality by comparing the distortion between a recorded reference signal and a recorded received signal. The measured distortion is defined by the difference between the reference and received signals. To formally map PESQ to a MOS score, the ITA defined P.862.1, which defines a mapping function between the raw PESQ score and a MOS listening quality objective, MOS-LQO, score. VoIP and voice quality, myths and reality. There are two prevalent myths concerning VoIP and voice quality. The first is that cost savings will be realized without any noticeable difference in voice quality from traditional systems. The expectation is that packetized voice uses less bandwidth on the wide area network than the traditional circuit-switched voice signals, and this will result in network cost savings. Reality does not bear out these expectations. In order to carry voice over packet networks, the voice signal must be converted into digital form at the transmitter and back into analog form at the receiver by a coder, decoder, codec. Several algorithms are used for this purpose, each with its own bandwidth consumption and voice quality. The G.711 codec is the same one used in the PSTN, but it requires more bandwidth in a VoIP system due to the IP overhead bytes added to each packet. Table 1. The G.729A codec uses less bandwidth, but does not provide the same level of voice quality. The voice quality measurements presented in this paper will explore the trade-off between bandwidth and quality for these codecs. The second myth is that packet loss and jitter are the only main drivers of voice quality, that an IP network with negligible packet loss and which also controls variations in packet arrival times through jitter buffers will provide good voice quality. The reality is that almost all VoIP configurations include external calls that either terminate or originate on the PSTN. In many cases the majority of the calls include an external leg. Interoperability with the PSTN introduces all of the traditional telephony impairments such as signal loss, noise and echo. VoIP gateways can further magnify these impairments by introducing additional loss, noise and echo returns. VoIP networks also introduce 60 ms to 100 ms of additional delays due to codec processing, jitter buffers and packet transmission, which can further impair voice quality perception. The measurements in this paper present the effects of signal loss and noise on the overall voice quality, and the expected end-to-end delay of various VoIP configurations. Because VoIP configurations almost always include both an IP network and a traditional telephony network, implementing voice quality in VoIP networks must consider the overall impairments associated with both the IP and the PSTN legs of the call. Figure 2 presents a typical VoIP configuration with connectivity to the PSTN for external calls. Although sources of impairments are distributed throughout this configuration, voice quality can only be managed from a limited number of control points. The VoIP gateway and the choice of codec are the primary control points for many systems, while others may have additional capabilities to control the performance of their IP network. The following describes the subcomponents in a typical VoIP configuration, and the end user's ability to manage VoIP voice quality performance. Phone gain/loss. All analog and IP phones are manufactured with specific gain and loss settings that affect the overall signal and noise level. The typical user can only control the volume gain on the received signal, which increases both the signal level and the noise floor. PSTN network. The local loop and digital to analog converters, D/A converters, in the PSTN add loss to the voice signal. PSTN-D. Conversion points are also configured to reduce the echo return signal level through impedance matching circuitry. This capability in most cases provides marginal reduction in the echo return, which is adequate for traditional telephony calls due to their low latency nature. Although signal losses and echo return loss in the PSTN can be managed by the network carrier, these parameters can't be controlled by an end user deploying a VoIP configuration. VoIP gateways. The gateway devices at the edge of the IP network can be configured to add additional gains, losses to a voice call to optimize the overall loss plan for good voice quality. Depending on the signal strength and the absolute delay associated with echo returns, echo cancellers in VoIP gateways can detect and eliminate echo returns. In a typical enterprise VoIP configuration, the VoIP gateway provides end users with significant control of a number of parameters for managing voice quality. IP network. The overall performance of the IP network determines IP packet loss and the overall jitter in the transmission. Proper capacity planning, along with proper quality of service, provisioning should minimize lost packets and jitter variation. The type of IP network. private network versus a managed VPN, can provide end users with a range of capabilities for controlling IP network performance, for example little to significant control. Proper IP network performance and COS configuration is one of the most critical elements for ensuring adequate voice quality. Codec choice. The choice in codec rates used in the IP phone and the VoIP gateway control overall clarity and bandwidth consumption. All end users deploying VoIP systems control this parameter, and must make a decision weighing the trade-offs between overall voice quality and bandwidth in implementing their VoIP solutions. The variety of impairment sources, along with the end user's limited control over voice quality, significantly complicates VoIP implementations and operations. Assuring good voice quality requires a true end-to-end test that takes into account all the impairments associated with the aggregate system. Characterizing this end-to-end performance enables end users to assess their configuration's voice quality and modify controllable parameters to optimize end-to-end performance. Mitrotech Systems has developed a methodology to perform such a test for a variety of VoIP configurations. These tests are based on the Agilent Technologies Voice Quality Tester, VQT, which allows characterization of voice quality at the user's handset for both analog and IP phones. This capability allows voice quality measurements to address the aggregate impairments injected throughout all of the subsystems associated with both the traditional telephony and IP networks. Test configuration and calibration. The Agilent VQT system enables characterization of end-to-end voice quality under a variety of configurations. The following lists the main output parameters used in Mitrotech Systems voice quality test. These items will be discussed in more detail in later sections: end-to-end signal loss, end-to-end BESC, end-to-end absolute delay, round-trip delay, source-destination source echo return loss. Figure 3 presents a typical test configuration. The VQT system is equipped with two analog FXO ports, FXO1 and FXO2. Two analog handset adapters, that is, PA1 and PA2, connect to each of the two phones in the end-to-end configuration. Each handset adapter is then connected to the VQT's analog FXO port. This configuration enables the VQT to transmit and receive an analog signal through each phone's handset adapter. VQT test procedure can send a tone at specified dBm0 level or play a set of WAV files through a FXO, FXO1, which is then received at the destination phone and ultimately at the destination VQT port, FXO2. This enables measurement of both end-to-end signal levels and BESC. Our research initially focused on calibrating the testing methodologies and the VQT system's performance in varying topologies. The calibration phase measured the performance of an analog-to-analog configuration, and migrated to IP-to-IP, and PSTN-to-IP topologies. The first step in this phase calibrated the signal loss measurements of all of the subsystem components to ensure proper VQT operations and identified a preferred operating region from a signal level perspective. The end-to-end signal loss is composed of both fixed and variable parameters. The signal loss associated with the PSTN and the gain losses of the phone are fixed and cannot be altered by the user. However, users can alter the volume of the aggregate received signal in the end user's phone via the phone's volume control. The variable parameters include the signal level of the speaker, the VQT adapter gain, loss, and phone volume settings. Systems that include analog subcomponents require an adequate signal J level in the network in order to compensate for the distortions introduced by the addition of noise as the signal traverses the system. Increasing the received aggregate signal level via the receive phone adapter or the receive phone's volume settings merely amplifies the distorted signal and results in a poor clarity score. The optimal signal level configuration requires the transmit signal, as measured in the network, to be 20 dBm0. In a system that includes the PSTN, this implies that the level of the original signal, as measured in the PSTN network, should be 20 dBm0. A pure IP-to-IP configuration requires a 20 dBm zero signal level in the IP network. This requirement was verified by our findings as presented in the next section of this article. Following the calibration phase, our research focused on characterizing voice quality in a variety of topologies and varying control parameters, including characterization of voice quality, performance and latency for PSTN to PSTN, IP to IP, and STN to IP topologies. Characterization of voice quality, performance and latency in the above configurations with varying codec choices including G.711 and G.729A. Characterization of voice quality, performance differences between male and female voices under various conditions. Characterization of echo returns, bypassing the side tone problem. Summary of calibration results. The calibration phase provided several important results to apply to a robust testing methodology. Careful attention must be paid to the test setup, especially when analog circuits are involved. The use of an isolation transformer is suggested for powering phones and phone adapters. Due to the sensitivity of some IP codecs to individual speakers, a full range of reference files should be used. The VQT ships with 18 English language files, 9 female speakers and 9 male. We used all of these for clarity tests. The signal level of each file should be adjusted to provide the same signal power during active speech. This level should be sufficient to give a network signal level of -20 dBm zero after passing through the phone adapter and the transmitting phone. The receive phone adapter rear gain and the receiving phone's volume control should be adjusted to provide a -2 dB end-to-end signal loss into the VQT. Test results using the test configurations and procedures developed above. A series of clarity and delay tests was performed for the following configurations: PSTN to PSTN, IP to IP using the G.711 codec, PSTN to IP using the G.711 codec, IP to IP using the G.729A codec, PSTN to IP using the G.729A codec. For each configuration, MOSLQO was calculated in each direction for each of the 18 speakers. For each speaker, an average of 5 measurements was taken in order to calculate the MOSLQO score. The results are presented in the following sections. PSTN to PSTN clarity. This test represents the baseline quality provided by the PSTN, the standard against which alternative technologies are measured. The average MOSLQO score over all speakers was 4.2, with little variation among speakers. This is well into the toll quality range and provides a valid reference for the other tests. IP to IP G.711 clarity. This test provides a quality measurement of voice over IP at the high end, using the G.711 codec in a back-to-back configuration, that is, over a LAN with no network impairments. Without the impairments inherent in the analog network, this configuration can provide quality in excess of the PSTN. The average MOSLQO score was 4.3, with even less variability among speakers than in the PSTN case. PSTN to IP G.711 clarity. In this case, a PSTN caller uses a VoIP gateway to communicate with an IP phone user. Since G.711 is the VoIP codec, there is only a slight transcoding loss at the gateway. The average MOSLQO score of 4.09 still falls in the range above toll quality. In the back-to-back tests, the configuration in both directions of transmission is symmetrical. That is not the case in this example. In the direction presented here, the TDM signal travels through the PSTN, picking up impairments, before it is packetized at the gateway codec. Gateways, as opposed to phones, do not have dedicated codecs for each conversation. A bank of digital signal processors, DSP, performs the operations for all calls in progress at the gateway. This results in a lower score in the PSTN to IP direction than in the opposite direction. In these tests, The average MOSLQO score in the opposite direction was 4.16. With G.711 codecs, the difference is small. It will be larger with more complex codecs such as G.729A. IP to IP G.729A clarity. The G.711 codec provides toll-quality voice in a VoIP environment, but it does so at the expense of network bandwidth. Packet overhead increases the bandwidth consumption of G.711 VoIP by 28% over traditional TDM voice. In LAN environments, the bandwidth consumed by voice is typically low compared to the data bandwidth consumption. Hence, G.711 is almost universally used for these internal calls. For WAN environments, where voice and data may share a single TL access link at many small locations, the bandwidth taken up by voice can be a significant issue. Table 2. The access costs at remote sites would double with use of the G.711 codec for WAN calls, with a resulting impact on the business case. However, there is a voice quality difference between the two codecs. While ITT specification G113 indicates that a G.729A codec achieves a MOS score of 4.0, our test's results show that this is an optimistic assumption. Figure 4 shows the results of our tests using back-to-back G.729A IP phones. While a single speaker does manage to achieve a 4.0 score, rounded up, the average score over all our speakers is 3.6, putting results for this scenario at the bottom limit of the some users dissatisfied range. More significantly, there is a much wider range of variability in the scores for different speakers. 3.27 3.96. A surprising result is the difference between the averages for female speakers as opposed to male speakers, 3.38 versus 3.82. This difference is not due to signal levels, since the input files were all scaled to the same signal level. 8 of the 9 female speakers scored in the many users dissatisfied range. Use of the G.729A codec entails a trade-off between bandwidth utilization and expected voice quality. This trade-off must be made on a case-by-case basis by the implementing organization. An important consideration is to set user expectations about voice clarity before implementing G.729A in a production environment. PSTN to IP G.729A clarity. In this case, a PSTN caller uses a G.729A VoIP gateway to communicate with an IP phone user. This is similar to the PSTN to G.711 case, with poorer quality expected in the PSTN originated direction. Since the G.729A codec is a predictive one optimized for a speech signal, degradation in the analog portion of the PSTN can cause problems beyond those that were measured with G.711. When designing an application around G.729A, it is good practice to limit the distance of calls on the PSTN leg, that is, deploy more voice gateways in the network. Figure 5 shows the results of our tests using a G.729A IP gateway. In this case, no speaker manages to achieve a 4.0 score. The average score over all our speakers is 3.38, squarely in the many users dissatisfied range. As before with this codec, female speakers had lower scores, near the bottom of that range. Absolute delay results. Our testing measured the absolute delay associated with various VoIP configurations. Absolute delay is a direct measurement parameter provided by the VQT. In our test setup, there was little propagation delay in any configuration. The controlling delay was due to packetization delay in the originating codec and jitter buffer delay in the destination codec. The jitter buffer delay is dynamically configured to overcome jitter in the intervening network. It will adapt to jitter by increasing the buffer delay. Jitter buffer settings may also be different for gateways than phones. The absolute delay was measured for the following configurations: G.711 arrow right G.711 G.729A arrow right G.729A PSTN arrow right G.711 G.711 arrow right PSTN arrow right G.729A G.729A arrow right PSTN. Figure 6 depicts the one-way delay results for the configurations noted. The baseline VoIP delay is 60 ms, comprising a 20 ms packetization delay and a 2-packet jitter buffer. Using G.729A codecs adds 5 ms each for compressing and decompressing the speech. For PSTN to IP calls, where a gateway is involved, there is additional delay due to the echo cancellers in the path and the behavior of the gateway jitter buffers. The longest one-way delay seen for local calls was 110 ms on a cross-country call. A propagation delay of 30 ms would be added to this, giving an overall one-way delay of 140 ms. This is approaching the point where it is noticeable in conversation and would present an extreme annoyance in the presence of echo. Again, users should be made aware of this difference from traditional experience when converting to VoIP. Conclusions. We reached 4 major conclusions as a result of this research. The first is that, to achieve meaningful results, a rigorous calibration phase needs to be accomplished using the actual equipment that will be under test in order to achieve meaningful results. This can be accomplished in a laboratory environment before deployment to the field. We have established a methodology that stresses ensuring a noise-free environment and paying strict attention to signal levels at all points in the configuration. The other 3 conclusions concern the VoIP technology itself. The G.711 codec performs similar to the PSTN in clarity and is robust with respect to speakers. It will provide toll quality even when used in off-net applications to PSTN phones. The G.729A codec, while providing significant bandwidth advantages over G.711, does not provide toll quality speech in practice. Not only is the average MOSLQO score of 3.6 well below toll quality, but there is a significant variability in the scores among different speakers, 3.24.0. There was a notable difference in the average score of the 9 female speakers versus that of the 9 male speakers, 3.4 versus 3.8. This result seems at odds with the current IT characterization of the codec in their predictive models. Many IP network health devices measure jitter and packet loss in the network and then report a MOS score of 4.0 when the G.729A codec is selected. We believe this is a misleading indication of achievable voice quality in practice. One-way delays are excessive for all codecs when compared to a user's typical experience with the PSTN. They can amount to half of what was experienced over satellite connections, which were found unacceptable by the public for use in the PSTN. In particular, this delay is experienced on all VoIP calls, even within the same building or on local calls. A side effect of this delay is that any echo present in the system, even locally, is noticeable and objectionable. In the PSTN, echo occurring within a distance of 500 miles is generally not perceived as echo by the user. The most prevalent complaint of new users converting to VoIP is the presence of echo on off-net calls to the PSTN. Deployment and tuning of digital echo cancellers at all PSTN gateways is a must for all VoIP systems. In summary, all aspects of a VoIP system must be considered in order to ensure end-to-end voice quality, and end-to-end testing is the only reliable measure of that quality.